Hi, everybody. This is Rose Odette with the Michigan Innovation Podcast. And today we have Brett Sigworth with us, and we are going to do a deep dive and talk about Brett as well as his business called We Heart Local. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing great. How are you, Rose?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so happy you're here. And let's jump right into it. Let's talk about Brett first and tell us how you ended up in Traverse City and a little bit about you.
Yeah, Traverse City for me was a real passion move. I'm married and I have a 4 and 6 year old, and we were living in Massachusetts, trying to figure out as kindergarten was starting for my daughter where we wanted to raise our family. And while we had spent a lot of time, and there's a lot of really great things about Boston as a city, and especially as an educational hub and community, we wanted a quieter life. We wanted a more laid back, relaxed life. And I've been coming up to Traverse City since I was a baby. Been coming up to Glen Arbor with my family and started bringing my wife and my kids, and we'd spend 2 weeks a year here. And it was always our favorite 2 weeks of the year by far. And so
Right.
me and my wife said, why are we living for 2 weeks? What if we could live here full time? And what would that
Wow.
look like?
So you made the dream come true. I think it would be really hard to leave Massachusetts. I myself moved my programmers out there for a year, and we were really taking in that whole Harvard MIT vibe. But I got to be honest, after that year or so out there, the programmers wanted to come back to Northern Michigan, and there's something compelling about this area in this part of the world. And so, uh, I really am happy that you chose to come back here, and you're bringing something brand new to the area, and that being We Heart Local, and also bringing your children to the area. You know, when new businesses start and people come into our region, they're not only bringing the business, they're bringing their family. And with that, they bring, the next generation,
Yeah.
which is so exciting. And I think kids are amazing. And so you guys have two children?
Yeah, and I mean, a good example of how special it is to live here and it gets dark so late in the summer is last night at about 7 after I worked. We said, let's go to the beach, which you normally wouldn't go to a beach at 7 o'clock in a lot of places. And the kids went and swam till 8, 8:30, and then we don't normally do it, but we asked them if they wanted to stay up and watch the stars come out. And we all did that as a family.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter stayed up till 11, probably the latest she's ever stayed up, laying on the grass, hugging me and
Oh,
looking at the
man.
stars and talking about the constellations. And she got really into it. It was on my phone searching wanting to search stuff. So um, those kinds of moments are why we moved here. We find we get a lot more of them here than we got out in Massachusetts. Things there, you go to the beach, it's a 2 hour ride in traffic. It's $40 in parking. You park half a mile from where you want to be. You get to the beach, it's crowded. There's often some litter. It's not the same as sort of rural northern Michigan. So
That's right. That's
you
right. Wow, what a wonderful story. I think she'll probably remember that for her whole life. That sounds great to have an experience like that with your dad. That's great. So I am so interested in We Heart Local, and I went out to your Facebook page and I found this really cool image. Isn't that colorful? And this is a representation of Traverse City.
Yeah, representation of Traverse City and someone on a phone and sort of, you know, illustrating how you could find activities or kind of, I think, in bodies kind of what Traverse City is all about.
Yeah.
Lakes, water, fun, cute little downtown.
Yeah, and so We Heart Local is some must be just by the name is that you love the local area. Can you give us a little bit of your story behind your business?
Yeah, so when I came out here, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I honestly thought, okay, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to see something so obviously missing that was in Massachusetts or California or other places I've been to or lived in, and it would be really obvious that I should open this because it doesn't exist here. And I found the opposite. I found that Traverse City had a lot of new and interesting and eclectic businesses and a lot of really well done um, startups and businesses going on. And I thought, I can't quite identify what it's missing. And I wasn't looking to come in and copy or have to compete with somebody or harm somebody else's business. So I started looking at all these local businesses, and there really was founders with real heart behind them, and they were putting everything they had into them, and that's why they're so interesting. And it doesn't exist everywhere. There are a lot of places where it's a lot more brands, and it's a lot less creative businesses like what we have here. And so I said, how could I support all of them? Is there a way I could do something to help continue what's already happening here? These small businesses, some of them are flourishing, some of them are struggling. Small business in general right now is a struggle post-pandemic. I've been a small business owner for a good chunk of my career in the dental service organization and in restaurants. And so I know how hard they can be to run. I know the challenges they face. I know how hard it is to get customers in your door. And so I started thinking about how can I support all of them? How can I really be a support system to keep Traverse City local? And so I started studying first, and I
Right.
studied
Well, I
Groupon.
have a question.
Yeah.
I have a quick question about the whole idea of finding a group of individuals that had already started their own businesses and that you noticed that they had that special, you know, bright light about their business. And so and you wanted to support them in that. That's really caring. That's really interesting. So I think that that's very unique. Most people are so really like if someone were coming into town and I have children, I've got to make a living, I've got to pay the bills. And but you said, wait a minute, there's a lot of people here already that have got their heart and soul going into business, and how can I help them? Wow, that's really super
Well,
cool.
thanks. I definitely I still need to make a living, and so there are challenges to that mentality, but I wanted to be additive to the community and find a way to benefit the community and not come in and just compete with
Now I
somebody.
know why you put heart in the middle of your business's name, because you seem to be all heart.
Well, thanks.
Oh, wow. So, what is your why behind We Heart Local? What is your why?
Yeah, so as I started to do that studying and looked at Groupon and some of the other models, and they price gouge, they take 50%. They've lost small
What?
business trust. Yeah.
What?
They
Are
take
you telling me Groupon gets 50%?
typically, on the deals they do.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and
And they're already cutting the price so much.
yeah,
So let's say that some salon or whatever puts something out on Groupon for $100, the and they've already discounted, let's say it's supposed to be 150 for, let's say, a facial, and they give you a deal, it's 100. Does that mean that the salon only gets $50?
that's correct.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and it makes it hard for those types of deals to be effective at driving revenue, at driving repeat customers. And so
And that money's going not to this geography.
that's correct. And so,
That's leaving Traverse City
yes, and
forever.
usually in a lot of, right, the money that goes to Groupon for sure. And so on top of that, a lot of these small businesses lost faith, lost trust with Groupon and left. And now there's almost no small business on Groupon. It's national chains that they're working with. And you said, what's my why? When I came to Traverse City, it became even more evident to me that we need to support local, that these businesses with heart, we need to help these founders and these small businesses thrive and get more revenue, and that the journey of being a small business owner needs to be a little bit easier. And if we can help provide that, the national chains have tons of advantages against small competitors. They can do TV and radio advertisements and have budgets for that. They can do loss leading advertisement for a year while they weed out competition.
Yeah, it's just for brand recognition.
Sure.
So let me ask you a question. Are you telling me that you are an extension of their sales team,
I,
of the local, like through your business? Could they see you as a channel of selling their product when they look at their like go-to-market strategy? Would We Heart Local be a channel
it,
to sell their product?
it could be what I want them to think about me as is when they have all these different mechanisms to market and they should use the ones that are effective for them. I want to really revolutionize how we can actually drive demand in real time. I want results. I think a lot of marketing, social media is a great example where someone goes viral and they get these million views and they're like, oh my God, the world's going to change for me. And then you ask them a week later, well, how many more customers did you get? And they're like, none. And you're like, well, what happened? And they're like, well, I got a million views, but I'm a local hair salon and they were from all over the world, not even all over the country. And so it didn't really change anything for me. And it cost me a lot of money. And I've been working on it for years. And I finally accomplished this goal of going viral. And I want to be the exact opposite. I want to come in, we meet, and 2 hours later, I've got 20 people in your store that weren't there or weren't going to be there
Wow.
and made an actual
What a great
impact
vision.
in real time.
That
That's
to
the
me,
goal.
you're a channel. I mean, you're helping them really get more leads. You're a
Yes.
lead gen.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so that's your why. Is there any more whys behind your
Yeah, there's a lot.
inspiration?
I would say that the why for me is really evolved. As I started, it was support local, but that really started to mean something to me more than maybe even when I first started the business. And it really became a focus on cultural preservation.
Hmm.
It dawned on me that when you go to a local taco stand and it's a fifth generation uh, family that's making these products that are recipes that have been passed on from generation to generation, these are ingredients, recipes, and a culture that you're biting into history. You're biting into an experience. You're biting into this lineage, and it's really unique, cool, and local. And it gives you a unique experience, and it makes going there really special. And when you bite into Taco Bell, sure, it's the same in every location. And I guess people like knowing they're going to get the same thing in every location. But for me, I don't know. I think that to lose that culture is is scary. I don't want the flattening or the dumbing down of our society. And I don't want to take my kids to San Francisco so they can try Starbucks San Francisco.
Okay.
I want them to experience culture
Right.
and new places and experience what those local places have to offer, what those people
Absolutely.
have to offer. And so that's really my why now, is to cultivate and preserve culture.
Awesome. Well, how are you going to do that?
Now, that's a great question. So we have, I can tell you a bit about what our dream is. And my dream is to really revolutionize the revenue model for small business owners. It's to get them more revenue. It's to get them more profit. Small business owners have really tough
Well, I love the
lifestyles.
sound of that.
Yeah.
So how?
So they have tough lifestyles, right? Because they can't balance all the time they have to put into it. And if you can get them more revenue, more profit, they can get more help and more support and have a better work-life balance and have it be a more pleasant experience. And so how do we do that? My biggest dream is to build an app that uses dynamic pricing and geofencing to make curated offers in real time based on AI learning about each customer, what their preferences are. So if you want, I could walk you through an example.
Sure. I love a story, but I'm going to net that for a
All
minute.
right, fair
Okay.
enough.
So what I've learned so far, and I am enjoying this. I know you guys are too. This is amazing. So we've got a guy, you, Brett, that has a passion for the local entrepreneur in the local business. You have an appreciation, a deep appreciation for the entrepreneurial's dreams and vision and their specific culture of their business. Every time you walk into any store that's not a chain, you get a vibe of that person's, mojo. Like what's going on here? What's it like? And it sounds like you want, and that to you, that's so special. And that you want to preserve that and leverage that so that people can, have a more varied palette, if you will, of whether it's coffee or other things that they can make a decision. I'm going to, go to this national chain or international chain, or I'm going to, go ahead and pick a local business. And now, what a mouthful, all this IT stuff, all this tech stuff you just brought up, geofencing, artificial intelligence, and just in time, I think you mentioned, that sounds like you're right up my alley. As you know, this isn't Michigan Innovation podcast. And so I'm so excited to hear this story of, or the scenario where geocaching, um, just in time and AI would all come together.
All right, so you want me to walk you through
As
how
long
it could
as
work?
it's not giving away your
No.
secret sauce. Okay.
Well, I'm a firm believer in it's not about the idea, it's about the execution.
Absolutely.
So I'm probably not the only one that's had this idea. There's probably 1,000 people working on something like this. I'm going to do it in Michigan and win here and grow from there. So I'm not too, we're not too worried about that part
Okay,
of it.
guys, I did not even know we were going here. So I'm at the edge of my seats right there with you. So let's hear it, Brett.
So imagine it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday and you're sitting at home and you and your family of four are thinking about what to do. You go on our app and you can text, we're hungry and we want an outdoor activity later today. The app, what's happening on the business end is they have a sliding scale and they can tell us how busy or slow they are. And several restaurants in the area have moved their sliding scale to we're slow right now. Well, that lets our app automatically know what offers they're willing to offer in real time. And so now you as the end user have said, we're hungry, we're looking for an activity, right? And this messaging went out and now we're connecting that to the end user. And so you're going to get curated offers. So you might get an offer from Little Fleet that says, hey, we're willing to offer 25% off on apps if you guys can get here in the next 15 minutes. And
What's
then
that? What's Little Fleet?
Little Fleet is a great little local restaurant in
Oh,
Florida
okay.
City. I'm just
Okay.
giving an example. And
No,
then
I appreciate that. I didn't know it's a restaurant.
and,
Okay.
and then
So,
after that, it will offer you,
so let me just
yeah.
make sure I'm with you. So my family and I are hungry and we want to go out and we want to do an activity. And I tell my app, my We Heart Local app, that that's what I want to do. And it goes out and it knows where I live, and it within a such and such a space, like miles from where I am at,
Mhm.
it will ping the different restaurants that, and then it says, well, we're not busy and we're willing to offer you, your family of four, um, a four top for 25% off, something like that.
Whatever offer that they've predetermined that they're willing to offer based on how busy they are. And then the app also, it'll give you options. It'll say, hey, here's 3 restaurants that in your area that are, and here's the 3 deals they're willing to offer if you guys can come in now. And then beyond that, if you guys want to do zip lining at Mount Holiday afterward, there's a 1 o'clock that should fit perfectly in the timeline at 20% off.
It's like a concierge service.
It's like a concierge service, and where the learning comes in is it'll learn about you, and it's not going to put wineries in front of you if you don't drink, and it's not going to put zip lining in front of you if outdoor adventure isn't your jam. So it's going to focus and learn what you like to do, when you like to do it, what you like to eat, what your favorite coffee shops are. And as it learns more and more about you, it's going to make better, more strategic offers. And then as we grow and become national, when you travel, it's going to say things and be able to nudge you and say, we know you love trying, local Chinese food restaurants. You love that. That's one of your favorite things. Here's one of the coolest ones in this area. You're traveling. Would you like to try it?
Oh,
So it's learned about you. It knows what you like, and it's nudging you in the right direction and helping push you toward the things that you love to do and giving you curated offers. For the business, what's really cool is they have the sliding scale where they can say, I'm slow. Well, we can also predetermine based on their size that if we give 10 offers out to 10 families of 4, let's say, we just filled them with 40 people. They don't have to go now and slide and say, I'm busy. We'll automatically have it slide back and stop making these offers because now they're busy. And
right.
so we want to get them busy in real time when they need it. And when they don't need it, and when they are busy, they shouldn't discount. We don't want them to discount, and we don't want to overflood them so that they're giving poor service. That's not what they want either. So this is how we can control when they have people coming. And once we've gotten them to a busier point, we can slow it down.
Fantastic. I love it. It's a great concept. Thank you for that. You did a
Sure.
really good job in breaking that down. And so, you ready to move on to what is your biggest dream and aspiration, or was that what you just described?
I think that's our dream and aspiration, or the product that we're working on building. I can talk a minute about what we are doing now.
Perfect. Yeah. What's up? What's going on these days?
So to test any startup or any idea, I try to build an MVP, the minimum viable product, the fastest way to prove that anyone cares about what you're doing, anybody wants what you're doing. And so for us, it was, do people want real-time deals. So that was what the question wanted to answer. And so we built a small text community. We have 800 users local in Traverse City, and we're texting them in real time deals and offers. We had 33% off, a third off on TC Kayak last weekend. We had Peace, Love, and Little Donuts. We did a deal with them, buy one, get one donut. We had Noble Creamery opened their creamery for the first time, and we had 27 people come and get ice cream. So yeah, we work with all these local businesses. We send text messages direct to them, and that's what we're doing now. And we're working on some other programming. We're working on a loyalty program for locals where they would get 10% off at hopefully like 100 locations around Traverse City.
So that sounds really important that you are able to really help. You've got 800 users in the Traverse City area, which, Traverse City, that's a lot of people for Traverse City, I think, that are using and getting, and they get text messages. Is that what
Right now,
happens?
they're getting text messages where we're making curated offers from the businesses to the users.
And what is a curated offer? I've never heard that phrase before. I don't know what that is.
Well, right now we're sort of curating what are great businesses, what are the kinds of offers that will really intrigue people. So, for instance, we have one that's going to go out tomorrow, and it's for Black Star Farms. They have a seafood dinner they're doing, and it's going to be 20% off. It's an expensive meal, and a really high-end chef, and it's a really cool experience.
Oh,
And so,
okay. So if I were a company that is putting my product with We Heart Local, you will sit down with me as a business owner and create the offer.
yeah,
And that's what you call curate the
yeah, I guess
create.
that's where I'm using that
Yeah,
word.
that makes sense. So you're customizing a special offer for that unique business and putting a discount on it and the like for this example you have a chef and so it's really putting a lot of how much time does it take for
It,
you to curate an offer with a business?
It's not that long, half an hour, 45 minutes. We sit down, we talk about what their goals are. For some of them, it's I want people to come experience my products. So a good example is we did a deal with Lightwell Lavender Farm. They wanted just to get as many people to come to the farm as possible. So they gave away free lavender bouquets on Mother's Day, and that drove like 15 or 20 people. I can't remember the exact amount, but a good amount of people to their
Wow.
farm on the peninsula, and they spent a couple $100s in the gift shop. And so not only was it a financial win, but all these people are aware of them now and they know about them, and that really helped build awareness for them. So for some customers, it's more, hey, I'm not trying to make money on this. I'm trying to build awareness. I'm new. I want to get my name out there and I want to make a great offer. And then for more seasoned businesses, sometimes it's just, hey, this one event, the Alluvian's a great example. We work with the Alluvian a lot, and they have different concerts, and sometimes they're sold out completely and they don't need us, and other times for whatever reason one isn't selling as well as they want, and they want to fill it up and they want to get people to experience, and a full venue for them is better for the performers, better for them, and so they'll come to us and we'll help fill that event.
That's amazing. And as a business owner, it would be fun to sit down with Brett, I think, and talk about my passion, my business, and have a expert consultant sit down with me and really dream up the the great experience for one of my clients or customers. I think that would be a fun exercise. So, 30 minutes to 45 minutes is short, but it would be extremely fun. I think if you are an entrepreneur that really loves your product and wants to really make sure that people understand the value that they're getting when they get to experience it, especially that whole dinner sounds great. So what are some of your challenges? I know that in my business and even in this podcast, we have challenges, like I said, my videographer isn't here today, but we're making it work. What kind of challenges have you experienced?
I mean, I think what's interesting is how my career's progressed from a small business owner to a startup founder. What I found there to be a big difference, and the word entrepreneur gets used for both, but they are different. And a small business owner is someone that usually has the resources they need, has the knowledge base they need, has a model that they can follow to launch a business. And I find when I've been doing startups, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't have the resources to do what I'm doing. I don't have the knowledge base to build or do or build the product that I'm supposed to build, but I'm going to go do it anyway.
Right.
And so, and that's been a lot of learning over the last several years of my career is how to do that. And it really takes perseverance. So challenges I think that most of us face are resource gathering, having capital to do the things we want to do, which most startups, including mine, struggle from in the beginning. And then knowledge base, if you're the technical founder, you might know exactly how to program everything I've explained, and that comes easy to you, but you might not know how to connect with hundreds of businesses, get hundreds and hundreds of users on board, sell it, get it out in the world, get people participating and get it activated. And that's a different skill set. And it's hard to have all those skill sets. And even if you do have all the skill sets, you won't have the time to do both jobs well. And so I would say my biggest challenges are resources, which are tech support, which I've started to find and identify some people that might be able to help on that end and are interested in getting involved in the project. And then financial resources. And I've been, starting to apply to some accelerators and talking to some investors and hopeful that we'll be able to, we've have a little bit of investment already, but I'm hopeful we can gain more investment so that I can really build the coolest product and really help change the model for small businesses and help them increase their revenue.
Very cool. So that was a very you mentioned a lot of different things that happen as in the area challenges, and you netted it out to resources. But I like the way that you contrasted small business versus startup. And my mom and dad started a small business, and it was a pet shop, and it was a dog kennel, like grooming tropical fish, 80 tanks, heck of a lot of work.
Sure.
But it really wasn't a startup because they had to get money from the bank to start the company or to the small business, but there wasn't a lot of creativity. The vendors came in. My dad would go to Traverse City and pick up the tropical fish in the middle of the night. I remember he would have to drive up there and get the fish before they froze in the, at on the airplanes, and then he'd bring them down to Cadillac, and they would sell black mollies and all of the fish, and then mom would groom the dogs and we would clean the kennels, and but we knew what to do. It wasn't, and then we just needed to get dogs in the kennels and grooming appointments and people wanting to buy fish tanks and fish. So it wasn't really a struggle to figure out what to do.
Right. That's you don't have a lot of unknowns.
Right. There were no unknowns, except we just needed to become, aware. We needed awareness.
It doesn't mean it's easier, by the way.
No, it's just different.
Yeah.
But in a startup, you have an innovative idea that is never, not really ever, I mean, you're modifying, but also incorporating so many new technologies, and that brings so many new challenges. And this isn't your first rodeo.
Nope.
So you know where to go, really know what to do. And so now it's pulling the resources together to do that, whether you bootstrap it, whether you get investors. So you're definitely bootstrapping, and you have some investors.
Mhm.
And what was another source of resources you said you were looking at?
Well, one of the best resources I've had is OOPS, the Office of Opportunities, and they've been a connector for me. Will Kitchen from OOPS has been
Yeah, I know
a
Will.
mentor.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And so him and OOPS, the whole community there has really taken me in.
Nick, yeah.
Nick Beatleston at
Yeah.
Commonplace, and they've really helped to connect me to tons of resources, to my first business clients, all of them, to my customers, to signing up, to helping get their friends to sign up. Lots of things that they do very quickly and in real time, and really helped me launch much faster, much more effectively, and a lot more confidence, I would say, support. You talked about biggest challenges. I talked about resources. That's one of them. I think as founders, a lot of us, at least I do, struggle from um, imposter syndrome, we all have these moments, am I doing the right thing? I'm risking my family's resources and my time? And is this the right thing to work on? And then we have days, or I have days where I'm certain and this is going to blow up and I'm going to be able to do huge things with this. And so there's a lot of mental wear and tear. And to win, you need to be persistent and consistent. And those are hard things to do without a support network and without a group. And Oops has been amazing for me to really, I found my tribe, I found my people. I go to the coffee shop and I'm getting high fives, I'm getting hugs, I'm getting, hey, I saw your text this week and I took it and thanks so much. And those little things, they go such a long way.
Mhm.
I was at an event and a woman came up, hugged me, and said, I went to a jazz show at the Alluvian. I never would have tried jazz. It was the coolest experience. I can't wait to
Wow.
go
So
more.
you're enriching lives of the clients of your clients.
In some capacities, yes, and it made me so happy. And I thought, you're the reason I'm going to keep doing
Oh,
this today, right? You really helped keep me going. And so those little things aren't little to the founder who's wondering all the time, am I crazy? Does anybody care? Can I do this? Will I ever get the resources? All these thoughts that go through our head. And when you have this constant support system of, yes, you can, yes, you are, we love what you're doing, you're valuable, and you're getting that constant loop of feedback from the community, it keeps you going.
oh, that's a great story. And I love hearing about the lady in the jazz and, just the whole circle of community that you mentioned. Not only the musician probably was encouraged to have more people in
Of
the
course.
audience. The venue was able to have more cheeks on chairs.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to feel that when she came and gave you that feedback. So that's very, very cool. So what advice would you like to give other people that are looking at becoming a startup, uh, doing a startup or becoming an entrepreneur, or kind of they're getting some inspiration from what you said. You're doing some pretty courageous things, looking at geo, looking at AI, looking at a brand new concept. That takes a lot of courage, but it's also extremely inspiring that you have the courage to do that with two small children. And I'm sure that, your wife is supportive of you, but you've got a lot of eyes on you. So that takes a lot of courage, but it's also inspiring. So what would you say to someone that's looking at watching this podcast and saying, well, if Brett can do it, maybe I can do it.
Well, I want to hit on one thing you said, which is my wife. And I would be remiss of me not to say that she has consistently been my number one cheerleader, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes when things aren't going well, I tell her, I'm like, you believe in me too much, and literally I'll be like, why do you have to believe in me so much? But she really does believe in me and really supports me. And she's really creative and brilliant and is going to do something entrepreneurial herself that's going to be announced soon as well. So she has been a rock for me to get
You're
to.
so lucky because
I'm so
that's
lucky.
not that's
No,
not that doesn't happen every day. Some people uh have to go it alone, but it's nice to hear, and I can't wait to meet her. And right, so I'm going to meet her someday in the future, I hope, because I hear she's got some really cool things, and maybe we'll even have her
for
on the
sure.
podcast sometime. Well, that's really cool. So it sounds like have the support around you would be good advice.
Yeah.
Any other
Yeah.
advice?
So you asked a dangerous question to a guy like me because I also have an affinity for teaching, sharing knowledge. I think there is probably no higher purpose in life than to share our knowledge. And so I've taught entrepreneurship. I've been a mentor and judge for accelerators and programs around the country. And so you asked me a dangerous question because I love to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, and I taught a class at Bentley University called Launching Your Venture, which was really fun. I had 21 students that had to launch a business in my class and get actual sales to continue through the class. So it was a class all about doing. We weren't reading books, we weren't studying, we were doing, and it was really fun. So some things I would leave founders or people that want to start a business. You have an idea. It's easy to put a lot of value behind ideas. Can't tell you how many startups I've seen where they gave somebody 40% of the company and I say, what's their role? And they go, oh, they just brought us the idea. And I go, and you're giving them 40%? And they say, well, what should we give them? And I go, maybe one, like maybe one. Because ideas themselves really don't have value. I believe every or most human beings have lots of good ideas, almost on probably a weekly basis. What is harder is to sit with an idea, to get obsessed with an idea, to let it fester. And what I would encourage people to do is have all your ideas, write them down, and the one that won't leave you alone, the one that's following you around and nagging at your back all the time, then that's the one maybe you need to start to dig into a little more. And so what I would say second is the opposite of what people tend to want to do. And I would say share it with as many people that are willing to listen to it as possible. They aren't going to steal it. They aren't going to say, I love it. I'm going to go spend the next 3 years of my life, all the resources I have, and pull every connection I have to go steal your idea. That's not what they're going to do. And that's what it's going to take to even have a modest chance of success. So but by sharing it, you're going to get feedback and it's going to change. There's almost no way whatever your idea is today is what you're going to launch. My We Heart Local idea was originally founded from an idea to help people sell fractional shares of small businesses to each other. That was the original idea. Do I do anything in that world? No. But and so what I would tell people to do next is my wife will laugh at me when I bring her new idea, which is weekly. And she'll say, if this one won't leave you alone, go downstairs and build a pitch deck. I don't build a pitch deck because I'm going to pitch it to anyone. I build a pitch deck because I'm pitching it to myself. I'm trying to sell myself on, is there something here? And it lets me work through it and figure out, is there anything here or not? So I built a pitch deck for how I'm going to start a fractional investment company that you can invest in fractional shares of small businesses to help them open second locations. And after I did a few pitch decks, talked to a few people, I had a Groupon competitor and a software company. So a little bit different came out of that process, and I couldn't be more thrilled. I love what I'm working on now. So you have this idea, go sit with it, go work on it. Go then, once you've got a little further, take that pitch deck and sit down with somebody that has industry experience. You're not pitching them. Do not ask them for money. Ask them for advice. They're not going to invest. They shouldn't invest. You just have an idea. You're not ready, but they're going to help you reframe it 10 times over. And then it's all about doing. Don't talk about it once you've done that, and that process should be a week to a month. Once you've done that, now you have to do something. So you think, what is the least smallest step forward I can take that actually will do something? And so for me with this, it was, let's get 100 users and send one text message. And I did that that happened 2-3 months after I had the idea. So I would say fairly quick. I mean, I had to get some things set up. I had to get a website set up, a name, a logo, a brand, and corporation, some other things, and I had to get the text product and yada yada. But I took the quickest step I could, and it kind of worked. And there was interest, and I kind of grew it further and did another one. And now I've done 20 some text messages and sent several $1,000s of revenue to local businesses. So I would tell people act fast, fail fast, test, iterate, and continue that process. It's a process. And if you start really quickly and do it right, you're going to learn so much. And whenever you get into build mode, you're going to build the right product at the right time for the right people. If you sit in your layer and put your headphones on and build, and I've seen this where people spend 2 years and $200,000 building, all to find out that nobody cares.
Right.
They built the wrong product.
Brett, I am flabbergasted. And I'm not just saying that. You are an amazing business advisor. Those and I've been in business a long time. I focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. And the guidance that you just laid out is priceless because there wasn't one thing he said. And I would recommend if you are an entrepreneur thinking of startup, you need to rewind, and rewatch what Brett just said, and even put on otter.io and record and then have it dictate to you what he just said and do what he just said, because that was gold. So great advice. That was gold. I'm just so I heard that about you though. I heard that you were good at business strategy. and
I,
that you do that for people at Oops. Isn't that true?
I have failed so much in my life and done things the wrong way. And if I can help other people not fail or fail really quickly for $1,000, go fail, rather than $100,000 in a year of your life. If I can
Mm-hmm.
help you fail fast, you're going to fail. There's no startup that doesn't have 100 small deaths and 2 or 3 big deaths usually,
Yeah.
but like almost weekly small deaths, and you need those.
I was talking to a couple of doctors at a conference a couple of days ago, maybe a month ago now, and they were doing the 100 hours, $100,000 with their headset on in the basement, and they'd already put in, and they're trying to create a product for doctors, by doctors, for doctors, on some doctor thing. And they have years and years and years of knowledge and years of experience, and they're pouring all this time and effort. And hearing what you said, I wish they could have they could hear what you said, because my fear for them was exactly what you described. They're good people. you
Sure,
know their time is so valuable, and their heart is in the right spot.
sure.
But will the doctors that they're targeting care, like you said? And I hope they
It's
do,
interesting.
but it's a big risk. And what you're saying is, if you do the iterations, that you you learn and you go, you learn and then you move, you learn and then you move. Is that what you're saying?
For sure. And you identified something that I would agree with, which is I find that often some of the brightest people struggle the most with this part of the process because they they believe they have the right idea and they haven't done this process. And so doctors are a great example,
Mm.
right? I wouldn't want a surgery done by someone that never had done that surgery before. Startups aren't that different. If you have never launched a startup before, you need to find someone in your life that's failed and done it a bunch and has successes hopefully as well, and you can learn from those experiences. You're going to have a much easier path forward than if you say, well, I'm great at this other thing, so those skills should translate. It's a different skill set. It really is. It's a different mindset. It's a different skill set. And so there probably, I don't know this particular business, but there's probably some ways that they could more simply test, and they'll end up building something different almost always.
Well, you gave him a great example when you said, I'm going to get one text out and I want 100 people to text to, and an offer or something. You said, here's my little, not, it's not little, but here's my pilot or my MVP or whatever you call it. And I'm going to push it out. I'm going to measure it. I'm going to give myself a learning, give myself a chance to learn. That's really very, very good guidance. And so we're almost done with our podcast. And before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you about Michigan and innovation in general. How do you find, you've been in California, Massachusetts, other parts of the United States. How does the Michigan innovation culture uh, compare?
I want to answer that. I'm gonna say one more thing and then I'm gonna pop back to
Oh,
that. Is that okay? Maybe you
of
could ask
course,
me again. But um,
we're all ears.
I wanted to also say that finding and having mentors, I've talked about Oops and how helpful they were to me. I would be remiss not to talk about Chase Bonehag and Brock Crandall and Josh Hart, a few local founders that really pushed me. And I mean, Chase in particular, every time I saw him, he was like, dude, how come you haven't sent a text? He actually came up with the idea to send a text. I told him the idea about the app, and he goes, just do it as a text, do it now, do it quick.
Wow.
And so I have all these years of experience, but sometimes I have a harder time implementing or listening to myself. And so having mentors and Chase, Brock, Josh Hart, several other people at Oops have been Will Kitchen and Nick Beetleson. They've all been mentors to me. I'm missing people that I probably should mention, but Chase in particular was really pushy with send a text, get going, do it. It was the absolute right advice, the advice I needed to hear, the advice that allowed me to continue to grow, to rethink my product, to be connecting with my
Now,
customers.
where did you find Chase and Josh and those guys?
First Founders Friday is the first thing that I connected to when I moved here. My wife said, you got to go network. So I can talk a little bit about Michigan innovation now, and I'll tie all that in.
Perfect.
So Michigan innovation to me has been game changing. I came from Massachusetts. I was an entrepreneur. I was a judge for Mass Challenge, which is the biggest accelerator in the state. I don't really know anybody there. I was a judge for Harvard's Innovation Center. I've talked to the director a handful of times, don't have any other contacts really there. I know some founders and I've networked with people, but it was interesting. I would go to networking events in Boston and shake 100 hands and never see the same people twice and didn't really form deep connections. I came here, my wife said, go to this First Founders Friday thing. I said, I hate networking and it never goes anywhere. And she said, just go. And these people have become some of my best friends. These people, we've laughed together, we've cried together, we've talked about our deep life journeys and passions and failures. It has been the greatest experience in my career. I'm the happiest professionally I've ever been.
Oh, wow.
Michigan, Northern Michigan is a hub of entrepreneurship. What's happening in Traverse City is electric. I want to mention Pete Martin from First Founders Fund. He is head connector. He is like the guy that connects you to everyone in Michigan. He is a strong voice for how Michigan's going to be an innovation hub. He's a reason it already is, and he's a reason for that. And he's going to be the reason that we're going to be the hottest startup hub in the country. And him, Will Kitchen, these are people that are going to be the reasons that you're going to be reading about not Silicon Valley anymore, but you're going to be reading about Michigan. And Traverse City is obviously a small community, but it is electric what's happening. There are amazing founders. I have worked with founders from Harvard, from Mass Challenge, from major universities, and the founders here are the best top quality I've ever
Oh
experienced.
my gosh.
There are
Wow.
unbelievable people doing
That's
cool projects.
great. You're just bringing tears to my eyes. I think that is such a great example. I mean, come on, Michigan, Traverse City, all that support versus you really look to, MIT and out at Harvard but I can see that, I know that when you get so many people, so much going on, and it is East Coast, and we do have that Midwest, Michigan, kind of nurturing, component in our culture, which is important. And I have met Pete too, and he is a star. I look forward to the Michigan Tech Week coming up in October, and I'll definitely be going to that as well.
I'll be there.
Me too. And so I am so happy to have had Brett on our Michigan Innovation Podcast. This has been a thrilling time. Will you come back?
Absolutely. And this has been great. I appreciate your time and your thoughtful questions and your deep insights. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been a great time, and see you next time on the Michigan Innovation Podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Cool.
Oh.
All right.
Good job. Oh, God.